Hello and welcome to another video from oorail. This video is the first in an ongoing series where we're going to be looking at model-railwayscenery.com's printable card kits. Now if you're not familiar with model-railwayscenery.com, they are the folks responsible for this low relief factory building that looks fantastic. This is one of their products. Now model-railwayscenery.com are a UK based model railway building kit design company, and they specialize in developing photorealistic card and paper kits for scale and railway modelers. Now they offer two types of product. They offer a digital product that you can download as PDF, print it out on your own printer or send it maybe to a print service if you don't own a printer, and you can print out the PDF as many times as you want for your own personal use. They also offer a pre-printed service, so you can purchase the PDF kit already printed and already on card, and in that case you just simply take it and assemble it like you would any other pre-printed card kit. Obviously if you want to print out more of something, maybe a wall or something like that, it might make more sense to invest in a printer. But otherwise, if you want to save toner or save ink, their pre-printed service is fantastic. So I model, as you know, in 00 scale. Now their kits are available in other scales as well. I believe they do O scale as well as N scale. So you can go to their website and find out a little bit more about that. The process is basically the same for any kind of scale. It's just obviously going to be bigger or smaller. So what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is we're going to start introducing you to some of their kits, showing you how we build them, and kind of giving you an idea of how you can use them on a layout. Obviously you've already seen from our Model Railway Layout Challenge series, ways to use their low relief factory building, and they have some fantastic wall kits and pavement kits that you've probably seen in the same challenge videos. We've started to integrate those into the layout as well. And we've got a couple of really cool projects going on over the weekend, so you will see some videos related to those. So today I'm going to just kind of introduce you to a few of their kits, ones that we've going to be building or have built over the last few days, and we're going to go and show you how to build their vintage road signs kit. Now their vintage road signs kit is fantastic. It's a great way to add those kind of intricate details to your layout. It's also a very easy kit, so it's a great one to start off with. So we're going to go start with that and basically show you how to use it and how we build it and so on. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go away from the layout here and over to the workbench and show you exactly what you need for these kits. Okay, so we're over here at the workbench, and we're just going to go kind of give you an idea of what you need to do before you start building these card kits. So one of the things I recommend you get is what's called a cutting mat. Basically, you've probably seen one of these things at school and that sort of thing, on craft shows. Basically, it's a kind of rubbery plastic sort of mat that will prevent you from destroying the table that you're using. You're also going to need some kind of craft knife. Here in the United States, I'm using this X-Acto knife. And it's fairly cheap and works pretty well. You're also going to need some blades. You'll find out as you start cutting through card pretty quickly that you're going to need more and more blades. So these are about $2-3 for a pack of like 5 or 6. So they're pretty cheap. You're also going to need some glue. I'm using this washable school glue from Elmer's. It's basically Pritt stick. If I show it to you here, it's literally exactly the same as Pritt stick. This comes in a kind of a purple color for kids so they can see where they've glued. Works pretty well for adults as well. You're also going to need some sort of felt tip pens. I typically use the Sharpies here, and they work pretty well. They don't seem to mind being abused so much. And then for emergencies, I recommend some Loctite super glue. Now sometimes you'll be trying to glue some fairly stubborn cardboard, and if it won't quite glue the way you want with the Pritt stick or some other type of glue, maybe PVA glue, A few dabs of this, especially the brushable version, you can put in some hidden places and it will actually glue it really fast. Now it does glue very fast, but it's a good way if you're trying to get something together and it's kind of like coming apart because the glue isn't setting fast enough. This will fix the problem. So having brushable Loctite is pretty handy. I also keep around some of the liquid as well, just in case I have to, like, score it up and down a particular wall or edge that's being stubborn. I also have the brushable Crazy Glue. It's just a similar type of glue than Loctite. This is a little bit less harsh. It doesn't seem to run or stain the toner printout from the laser printer as much. With the Loctite, it kind of turns into a funny green color. So if I'm doing something that's on the front, I use the Crazy Glue. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between the Loctite and the Crazy Glue. Obviously, there's some different chemistry involved, and I'll leave it at that. I also have some craft sticks. These are usually pretty good for cutting up and using for steps, also for signposts. So for today's project, which is the vintage directional road signs, we're going to be using these. They're about 2mm in thickness, and even though they're square, they'll still work pretty well. So the only other thing I'd recommend you get is a couple of pairs of decent scissors. Now I'm using these Westcott scissors. They're pretty cheap from Walmart. Obviously, probably don't have those in the UK, but you can get a kind of a similar set of scissors. Now what's interesting about this set is this is a titanium non-stick set. Now I'd recommend, if you can get a hold of a pair, of these non-stick scissors. And the reason I say that is if you've glued something and you want to cut it real quick, you can put glue all over this set of scissors and it won't actually stick the scissors at all. So they're handy for cutting things that you've already glued. And then I just have a pair of regular Westcott scissors. They're also titanium, but they're not non-stick. So I use this for kind of cutting paper. In fact, I have two. Mainly I use one for cutting paper, and one for cutting through the cardboard. That way I can abuse one set and keep one set pretty nice, so there's still cutting a pretty decent edge. And that's basically it. I also keep on hand some painter's tape just in case I need to nail stuff down. And of course you're going to need a ruler, just so that you can score straight edges and so on. Now in terms of the paper itself, I print everything out onto what's called US legal paper. It's a little bit larger than A4. The standard paper over here in the States is letter, and it's a little bit smaller than A4, so obviously I can't print out the kits to their scale on that. But US legal I think is a little bit longer, but it's about the same width as A4, so I can fit the whole A4 page onto the US legal paper in 100% scale. So one of the things that you're going to need are some card. So I use what's called mat board here in the States, and it's basically 1.75 to 2mm. It kind of varies a little bit, and I think it's used for the backing on picture frames, but it works just as well for the thick heavy card that you see in the model instructions. So I use this for that purpose. So I also use cardstock for the medium paper, and cardstock is just basically about a little bit under 1mm. I think it's 0.65, 0.75, but it works just as well. Alright, so the first kit that we're going to look at today is the scenery.com vintage road signs, and it's pretty straightforward. I have a picture down here in the bottom right hand corner of what we're assembling. It has a selection of vintage road signs, and then it has a very simple set of instructions. So basically here it's telling you that you're going to cut out each row of signs, complete with the grey backing area below, fold over the backing and glue the two halves together, allow it to dry thoroughly, then cut the sign and its triangle and circle out. Alright, so for example, what you're going to be doing here is basically cutting down this way, and then you're just going to glue the backing to the front, and then you're going to let it dry and basically cut these out. So let's take a quick look and see what signs we actually get. So the first sign here is a halt at major road ahead. The second one is another yield sign with slow major road ahead. We've got two 30-mile-an-hour speed limit signs, two stop signs, some turn left, turn right, keep left, halt, and then it's another basically repeat of that. So if you look, these signs here and these signs here appear to be the same on the side. Then we have some pre and post World War II crossroad signs. They have a railway crossing sign, a hospital, T-junction, and a whole bunch of other junction signs, and of course it repeats down the other side. And then again we've got let's see, humpback bridge, bends for 2 miles, road narrows, tram pinch, school hill road, bending road again, and so on. And then down the bottom we've got two-way road, level crossing, low bridge, roundabout, and a few others. And so, and basically no left turn signs. So basically you've got a wide selection of signs here. And so what we're going to do is basically cut these out, glue, and down the back here it says you can mount the signs onto plastic, metal, or wooden rod of about 2mm diameter. And then they tell you to basically paint in black and white and horizontal stripes, just like the photo down here on the bottom. So what you get is this piece up here, and then you just glue it to your pole and paint the pole accordingly. So that's the kit that I'm actually going to walk you through today. And then I'm also going to show you what we're going to do over the next day or so. So we've already built this kit on the layout, and I'm actually going to walk you through building the kit step by step. And this is the 6 foot industrial brick wall and gates. This is a very cool kit. It's very easy to put together. It has all your base layers right there. You basically glue the base layers to your 2mm card, and then we have some more base layers, and then of course we have the texture wraps. You can see there they're extremely high quality, and they're very nicely showing you where the top is marked. If I bring it up there to the camera, you won't be able to see that. You can see it shows you where the top is. And then you also have the caps for the walls as well as the gates. And then of course you have the actual gates themselves. And they come with two different style of gates. It's kind of rusty metallic kind of gate, and then there's another gate here that's wooden. And so we're going to show you how to build that in the next video. And they also come in a couple of different varieties. This is the same kit, but it's 6 foot dressed stone wall and gate, so you might notice it's kind of a more of an industrial look than an old brick building look. And well, exactly the same kit though. I think the only difference is the textures. So flicked it over, you can see the textures are a little bit different. And there you can see the texture for the wall. And it comes with two different wooden style gates. And then finally, the third kit we're going to be looking at in conjunction with the other two is their 6 foot old stone wall and gates. And you can see here you got the kind of old stone type wall and these gates. Now this actually kit is designed to go with their country pub kit. So if you want to, here they show you a couple of ways to you can use the kit there with the country pub maybe. It's a pretty good match for it, and it comes with some really nice instructions. And so you can see it's the same 2 sets of base layers, and then you've got, actually it comes with 3 sets of base layers, and then you've got the stone wall wraps, and it comes with an extra sheet of those, and it looks like it. and then of course the gates themselves. So that's going to look very nice on the layout. So we're going to show you how to build these and then how to integrate them into your layout. So that's going to be our next video. In this series, we're going to look at these industrial gates. Okay, so with that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at doing these road signs. So you can see here, we're going to probably need to use the ruler just to figure out where to cut them. So they are in a couple of different sets. So this set goes with this group goes here, this group goes here, this group goes there. So we're going to cut this out so it's a little bit easier to work with. So just take the scissors and you just roughly trim it down. You don't have to be exact. You obviously don't want to tear into the existing textures or anything like that, but you basically just want to trim it down so it's easier to work with. And then we're going to leave this off to the side because it's actually got our photo that we want to work with. So we'll set that right there. And then likewise, we're going to take it at the top and then just kind of just trim it down as well. Like that. And then we'll also trim the sides down a little bit so it's easier to work with. So we'll take this and trim down the side, like so. And we'll take this side and trim it down as well. And since these signs are in two groupings, we're going to cut down the middle as well, so we end up with just two sheets, so it's easier to work with. So very carefully, this one's a little trickier. You can see that. We're just going to be very careful not to cut into any of the textures or any of the signs. Like so. That's a little tricky with a bigger pair of scissors. There you go, we pulled that off. It's a little tight there, but it's all good. And then you can see we also have the second set. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to set that one set aside, and then we're just going to work on this halt major road ahead sign. So we obviously want to separate this pair now from the rest. So we're just going to go real close to the thing here, gray section, and basically cut along it, making sure that there's no white on the left hand side of it, like so. So we can set this aside. You can see it's a nice group of road signs there. And then what we're also going to do is going to trim this down. So we're just going to take this and trim it as close as we can. And basically all we're looking to do is try to keep this straight and basically make sure that there's no white on it. So if you look here, you can see we've got it trimmed down pretty well. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to basically just trim it down as close as we can this way, and then we're going to fold it over and glue it. So we'll take this and you can just eyeball it. There's enough of a gap between the two that it's not going to matter, like so. So that's relatively easy. And so what you're left with is I'll show you, it's the camera. What you're basically left with is that. There you go. And so what you're going to do next is we're going to just basically glue it on one side, fold it over, and let it glue for a few minutes. So we're going to go and use the Pritt Stick / Elmer's glue. And actually what I'm going to do for this particular project, I also have a smaller stick, and I'm going to use this because I don't want to get glue all over my table here. And it's relatively straightforward. What you do is you make sure there's no hair or anything. I have a couple of dogs, so I have a Alaska Malamute, so she kind of sheds quite a bit, so you want to make sure that you don't have any dog or cat hair lying around. And you basically just, if you can see that, basically just run it a few times like so. And then you're just going to fold it over. So you line it up like so, very carefully. And what you're left with is that. Now it won't line up perfectly because I didn't cut it and measure it exactly right. You can see there you end up with that on the front and that on the back. And so what I'm going to do is just take my non-stick scissors here, and basically trim it down a little bit, like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to just set this aside and go ahead and glue some of the other ones together while we wait. So I'm going to set that there, and we'll go cut a few more. And it's really easy to do this, so you'll see here in a second that it goes through pretty quick. It doesn't matter if it doesn't line up perfectly. You obviously don't want it to crease though, because then your sign will look funny. You see there, there's another one. Might took a few seconds. I'll let that set aside. And I'll just glue this one now. Again, just fold it over like so. And I'll leave those for now. So I'm going to do a couple of signs. And so with this particular kit, you end up with quite a few signs. There's 1, 2, 3, 64 signs in total across the 2 sheets. So that's not bad at all. And of course you can print it out as many times as you want. So the next step, once this is dried and so on, and nice thing with this is that's probably already dried. The next step is going to be to actually cut this out. Now luckily, if you look here at the sign, we only have to cut the outer edge of it out. It's all pieced together as kind of one piece. Now there is a gap between the halt and the actual yield sign at the top, so we're going to go and basically cut this up a little bit. So again, I'm going to take my set of scissors here that are designed for non-stick, and I'm just going to get it as close as I can. I don't know if I can show it to you too easily in the camera, but basically I'm trying to get that as close as I possibly can to the edge. So you can see there the edge is right there. If I zoom in a little bit. So the plan is to get it as close to that as I can with the scissors, and then I'll trim it further down with. Okay, so the X-Acto knife is basically going to be used to cut this into a little bit better detail. So I'm going to actually replace the blade on the X-Acto knife. This is one I've been using for a couple of weeks, and so it's been used on a few projects now. So what we're going to do is get a new blade out, ideally without injuring yourself, and then you very simply just unscrew that like so, and the old blade pops out and the new blade pops in. Now for this, because it's so small and fiddly, I would highly recommend using a new blade. You'll just save yourself a lot of time and stress if you simply use a new blade. And so what you do is you hold down one end with your finger and you run the blade along the edge like so, and just applying a little bit of pressure. It should separate like so, and it has. So now you can see we have 2 pieces. We have the one that says the halt major road ahead, and the actual yield sign. And so if I show, I may not be able to see that. There it goes. Maybe. So we're going to go cut down this way, and I'm going to turn it this way, cut the little 2 pieces up the top off, and it should be the right shape. So again, just use your finger to hold it down, like so. It's maybe a little tricky to show on the camera, but you'll get the idea. Just cut it like that, and then you rotate it around, still holding it down, and it should just come off like so. So you can see a little piece there, and we're left with the halt major road sign ahead, and then we'll just cut that and trim down the side like so. And you can see we're literally left with, I don't know where I can flick it over. You can see, there you go. We're left with the sign like that, and you can see it's got the nice bit on the black back. Now what we're going to do is take the Sharpie and just run along the edge, and what that does is, you can see there with the paper printer, it's a little bit little bit white, and so this will disguise that pretty easily. And it's pretty straightforward to do it. Just simply hold it like so, and then just kind of rub it with the outside. And what you want to avoid is getting it on the front of the sign. So you just want to make sure that you're only getting it on the side. And there you go. You can see it looks a lot better after that. I actually was able to cut that with the scissors, so it turned out pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to go and it's a bit fiddly because it's pretty small. Go run the run the pen along this. Okay, so what I've opted for is basically your standard toothpick, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it about 4 or 5 millimeters down with the X-Acto knife. So we'll cut there, rotate it a little bit, cut it some more. That's good. You can see it's a little more proportionate to the sign of the larger craft stick was. So we're going to go and glue that like so, and then we're going to pick up our sign here and stick it on the top. Now obviously we want to make sure it's the right way around, so we're going to position it with the X-Acto knife here. Alright, so you can see we have the first part of the sign together, and so now we're going to do the second part. There you have it. There's the road sign. It looks pretty decent. And so I'm going to let the glue dry, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and paint it and put it on the layout. So I want to get this video up tonight, so instead of showing you tonight exactly how we paint this and stick it on the layout, we'll do it in a bit of a quick update video. So for now I'm going to leave you with this, and we'll let you know that the next, like I said at the start of the video, this is the first part of an ongoing series, and the next one in the series will be looking at the industrial brick walls and gates, and looking at the other two variants as well, and how to use them on the layout. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.